This episode is brought to you by Odd Moe's Pizza in Canby. Handmade awesome pizza plus craft beer, wine, and cider delivered. Order today at 503-263-8444 or visit them online at oddmos.com.
This episode is also brought to you by Canby Foursquare Church. Since 1978, a place to grow, connect, and serve. Sunday services on campus and online at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Learn more at canbyfoursquare.com. Welcome to Now Hear This Canby,
Your source for news.
The threat of a possible teacher strike was avoided this week.
There's a new, irresistibly cute creature winning over fans, and its name is Scootaloo.
Sports.
It's like Lucy in the football. You want to kick a field goal, but they take it away from you.
We had to learn how to win.
Goal can't be in the last second of the game! And interesting conversations.
Because I'm one of the strongest girls ever, and I know that for a fact.
I just really enjoy writing gossip as if I was a bear.
With an old maid daughter that make the best moonshine in the coast.
And if it would have hit me in the face, I think I would have died. I really do.
I guarantee you would have died, man. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back to another episode of Now Hear This Canby. I'm Tyler Clausen, and today we're back in the studio with two people that, I mean, they're like hanging out behind the curtain. They're the Wizards of the Oz. They're making it all happen. Canby exists because they're doing it, right? We have Jamie Stickel and Tyler Nizer, which, real quick, before we go any further, I found out something very important right before we started recording. Tyler has not seen Lord of the Rings. This is breaking news. Yeah. We're going to put this as a headline on Canby First.
My apologies. Star Wars, though.
Okay.
I mean,
Star Wars
at least
is great.
That's something, right?
I mean, like, the original trilogy is great. We get a little dicey after.
I like that he just found like an obscure reference to glom onto. Like, I haven't seen that, but I have seen... Just to kind of...
I'm guessing he's had this conversation before. He was very quick.
True.
Right? To
True.
be like, but Star Wars, right? First of all, congratulations on Star Wars. But I would say, as we're going into, October, I mean, we're not going into, we're halfway through at this point. We're more than halfway. We're like 3/4.
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh my gosh, I can't keep up.
Halloween is next week.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you were young and the people who were a little bit older or your parents would say, like, time goes so fast. Yeah. And then you think, that's not going to happen to me. And then now we're the ones going, wow, we're really like far into October and we never really saw that coming. And wasn't it just 2017? I
genuinely was like, we're still in September for some reason. But I heard someone explain it that when you're a kid, time goes slower because you haven't experienced as much of your life, and so as you're older, I can't remember how the phrase goes.
It's that your window of experience is shorter the younger that you are. So when you're 40, which none of us are, I don't think.
No, I'm not.
Definitely not. That when you get 40 or 50, that so much of your life has gone by that you're like, I've wasted this, or I've lived through this, or I've experienced that, and it feels like time is fleeting because you know how it feels to think about when you were 20 or 10 or 5.
Genuinely was in my car today driving, thinking about high school, and, as one does. And I was like, yeah, when I was 17, life was like this, blah, blah, blah. And then it clicked. I did the math. I'm 17 years older right now than I was when I was 17. I've lived 2 lifetimes of that life at this point. That kind of messed with me a little bit.
Think about how many times you should have watched The Lord of the Rings.
The Lord of the Rings. Thank you for bringing it back, because I was just about to do that. We're about to go into November. See, I can use that one.
Okay.
It's the perfect time of year to cozy up with a big bowl of popcorn and watch 9 straight hours of Lord of the Rings trilogy.
And if you're looking for something else fun to do, you could watch The Hobbit, the old 80s version,
The cartoon
scary Hobbit that we used to have to be forced to watch in school.
Did you watch that in school?
In school. We had to read
My
The
dad
Hobbit,
made
and then
me
we
watch
watched
that.
The Hobbit, and it was horrible. It was so scary.
It's not a school movie, I'll give you that. It is pretty weird. The animation style is very weird.
Yeah. It's very weird. It's off-putting, but you should end with that. Maybe you could make it a family
You're really
movie
selling
night.
it.
So Jamie, Tyler, thank you so much for coming into the studio today. We have a lot to cover, but I kind of wanted to start with just getting to know you guys. I've talked to you at functions every once in a while. You guys definitely talk to Tyler Frankie a lot more than me. I stay here in my cave and do audio and video things. So I think this is great. I'm excited to chat with you guys. And let's get into it. Jamie, Tyler, whichever one of you wants to, take the cake first. Tell me where you're from. How'd you come to Canby?
I'll let Tyler kick it off.
So I was actually born and raised in Canby.
Yeah?
And so spent my whole life in Canby, went through Karis Elementary School.
All right.
And then on to Ackerman Middle School, and then Canby High School. And then after that, went to college and came back and started working in Canby. I remember as a kid going and experiencing all the many things that Canby has to offer, such as back then it was like the General Canby Days, and then the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, always going there, raised pigs in 4-H there.
Yeah.
And so...
What year did you graduate from Canby?
2010.
Oh, okay. All right.
So 2010, graduated high school. And then came back and worked at the Canby Herald, Hope Village, Clackamas County Fairgrounds for 4 years. So that was really cool to have that connection of going there as a kid and having that experience, and then coming back and working there as the marketing manager there and for 4 years. And then now I'm here at the City of Canby in economic development.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
you grew up here in town, you raised pigs, and then you're like, this is the place for me. One day I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna run this joint.
It's always had a special place in my heart. I've always loved what Canby has to offer. It's been such a nice, quaint town, but also you're close to the mountains, you're close to Portland, you're close to Salem and the beach. It has all the great location amenities that a town would have, while also having that small town feel of knowing everybody, and people look after you, and there's just a sense of community here, which is amazing.
Yeah. And if you went to Karis, I'm kind of assuming you lived a little bit on the outskirts of Canby.
Yeah.
So you were like true and proper country Canby guy.
With pigs.
Something like that.
It's not too far off to know someone who lived in town who would have pigs somewhere, like at a friend's house or relatives.
Yeah.
But you were doing the farm thing. My wife was all the way out on Casto Road.
Oh, nice.
She was almost Beaver Creek, but she came to Canby, and so she kind of got both the country life and city experience. Was that the same for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Kind of on the outskirts, but then still, coming to town every day and all that stuff. So, yeah.
I grew up, I think I've lived in almost every single apartment complex that existed before 2010. I think I hit every single one. I should have gotten punch cards.
That's awesome.
So I get a free rent. And so there was definitely an experience to be had in town, on the logging road. There used to be, I don't know if this was a thing that you experienced, but there was something called the 8-track. No?
I mean, I've heard of it, but I haven't really
So it doesn't exist anymore, but it's where there's that power grid, the facility right off of the logging road, between logging road and 99E. That used to be just a patch of dirt and trees, and a bunch of us kids turned it into an 8-track biking area.
Yeah.
For
Like just bicycles.
Like motocross?
Not motocross.
Okay.
No, we weren't that cool. I was like 7 years old. I lived in the apartments across the way, and we would go over. And so that was what we did on a sunny afternoon.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, man. What sort of things were you up to? Other than raising pigs. I mean, was that your thing? Was that what you were up to?
No, I really enjoyed, riding my bike around. I definitely remember doing stuff like that and playing basketball with friends and just hanging out and doing lots of activities outside, being outside, fishing, and yeah.
I feel like he just described his last weekend also. Just for the record, not much has changed in my what I know
when
of
you
him
find
now.
perfection, right?
Yes.
Like you just stick to the formula.
Why change
You're
it?
good. Yeah.
But now the kids he rolls around with are his own. It's a little bit different.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How many kids you got?
So I have 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, and raising them in Canby now, which is really exciting to, have them have some of those same experiences. We live in town now, so it's, not that same location, but it's nice that, like I said, we get to experience the community in similar ways, and it's just fun.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Jamie?
And opportunities that things that I didn't necessarily do growing up. So one of the things I like to do is they like to just go to the skate rink or the skate park, I guess you call it.
Yeah.
And not have any bikes or anything and just run up and down.
Up and down this. It's the safest way to play there, right?
It's okay, I guess if this is what you got, can we go there and just run? And I'm like, yeah.
Man, that place got built up when I was a kid, and I was terrified to head over there. It was intense.
Right.
All the cool kids with their skateboards and stuff, and I was not going to do it. I broke my arm running. I don't need to be on something that's going to propel me faster.
I've never done skates or anything like that.
I was on a skateboard once, and my brother helped me, and as soon as he let go, I fell, and I was bloody, and that's, I think, the last time I was ever on a skateboard. First and last.
Yeah. Nice.
Mastered it quickly.
Very cool. Awesome. So Jamie, how about you? Were you born and raised Canby?
No. I'm I guess a relative newcomer to Canby as far as people from Canby are considered. I've been here for about 11 and a half years.
Oh, very new.
So I've been with the city.
Fresh.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know where Thriftway is, right?
Barely. So I was actually born in Portland, and my family was in the newspaper business. So telling stories and learning about people, those kinds of things, it's really near and dear to my heart. But I was born in Portland, and when I was 4, my dad took a job in Michigan. And so he moved his, at that time, small family to Michigan. And we lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan for, I think, somewhere between 3 and 6 months before he got word that he had been transferred again. And my mom was, out to here pregnant with their third. And so we moved, lived in Bay City, Michigan for 3 years where my sister was born. And then he was transferred again to New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
So a little bit of a difference there. We lived in New Jersey from when I was 7 until when I was 15. So when people think that the reason I talk fast is because I drink a lot of coffee, that's only partially true. But the formative years of my life were, New Jersey. And so when I was about 15, my parents wanted to move closer to their families, which were both based in Portland, Oregon. And my dad took a job in Yakima, Washington, and he's been there ever since. I completed my high school there and promised never to go back other than for visits. I went to school at Washington State University and then was looking for a job at, I think, about 23, 24 years old. And the Committee for Downtown Yakima, which was a downtown association in Yakima, they were looking for a programs administrator. And so I moved back to Yakima, took the job. I thought I'd be there for a year, and I was there for 3. And that's where I got my start in economic development, community engagement. I just learned to love community and to love love business and have a different kind of appreciation for the businesses that serve our community.
Yeah.
And during that time, our organization lost our major funding source. And so I was looking for jobs, and I basically just applied for any job that was near friends or family. And at the time, my grandfather was still alive and living in Portland. And then I have 3 sets of aunts and uncles that live locally. And I text my Aunt Bridget, who I'm very close with, and I said, what do you know about Canby, Oregon? And she responded with a 1-word text, which is just flowers, which I guess is a good enough reason to apply for a job. And I
think she was actually just hoping you'd pick up flour
right.
on the way home.
right.
Darn it, wrong
Darn
flowers.
it. Missed an opportunity, but found an opportunity.
We found a new one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I started June of 2012 as the Main Street manager. And Main Street's a national program that focuses on small downtown development, specifically in small downtowns or neighborhoods, if you think about like the Pearl District or neighborhoods in that way. And from there, I worked my way into the Economic Development Director position. And about 2 years ago, I also took on the role of Communication Specialist for the city, because we did not have at that time someone whose focus was communications.
Yeah.
Our department, Economic Development, did a lot of it, because with our focus on events and marketing and those kinds of things, we are one of the more outward facing departments. But the need actually came during the ice storm in 2021. And I was on a call with other directors, and we were trying to determine how we were going to get the information that we needed to get out to the community. And I said, well, I can create it if someone can post it to the city's Facebook page. I didn't even have access to that because we have our Canby Business Facebook page.
Sure.
And from that emergency, the need was identified, and the city administrator at the time and I, started to talk about what we thought that the role could look like. So part of my role is to also do communications for the city, which I actually really love, because I love to talk. I love to engage. I love this community. And frankly, it has allowed me to work with different departments or to work with other city departments in different ways than I was previously.
Yeah.
So it's been a really fun time. And also in my time with the city, I got my master's in business administration.
Nice.
So completed that in 2021 during COVID. So it's been a really interesting time. And I've been here, like I said, 11 and a half years. And I love this community.
So I want to jump back a little bit to when you were 7, just a little bit. You moved to New Jersey. Well, I guess we're moving from 7 to 15. You were in New Jersey, and then you moved back to the West Coast. What was that like?
Oh, it was horrible. Not that the West Coast was horrible, but where we lived in New Jersey, it wasn't East Coast, it wasn't Jersey Shore, it wasn't New York City. It wasn't that kind of East Coast life.
There's a lot of other land out there.
Right, there's a lot of land. And oddly, coming here to the Garden Spot, which is what Canby is known as, Jersey's the Garden State.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of beautiful land too. We lived in a town called Robbinsville, which I always say reminds me of that movie Pleasantville, where like every other house is the same. But we lived in this really quiet suburban, neighborhood, and just had a great life. And I understand now as an adult why my parents wanted to be closer to their family and their roots. But to take that move, and we moved, I think it was December 9th of 1999. So the middle of my sophomore year in high school.
Yeah.
And to leave all of the friends that I've known and the, my most formational time, and then moved to Yakima, Washington. And my parents actually didn't move to Yakima. They moved to Selah, Washington, which is outside of Yakima. But it doesn't usually show up on a map.
Yeah.
So that map dot is just Yakima. But it was really, really hard. It was a challenge. But I'm someone that I went to 8 grade schools and 2 high schools.
Yeah.
So the challenge of having to readjust and to put myself out there most people who know me now don't think that this is possible. But when I need to be quiet, I'm very good at being quiet. So for about a year and a half, I'd say when we moved to Sela, I was like wallpaper.
Yeah.
Like I've met people as an adult where we went to, not only did we go to the same high school, but graduated within a year of each other and did not know each other.
Yeah.
And so it was really, really difficult. But also, I did meet, I met some good friends, and one of those good friends is still my best friend to this day. And she and I went to college together and really built something wonderful. But
Nice.
It was a really hard transition. But I know it is something that was important to our family to be close. We're a very close family regardless of where we live. But also, it pushed me outside of that comfort zone. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. I know what it's like to move around a lot. When I was 7, my dad took us to Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And I spent a couple of years there, and, transitioning from Knight Elementary to, I don't even remember the name of it. I don't know, probably William, Pennsylvania guy. Elementary. I don't remember. But like the transfer from one to the other, it's crazy for a child to do. And then a couple of years later, on the East Coast, they do like 5th grade is middle school or something, and I can't quite remember it. And so I went to middle school. I was in middle school, and then we moved back to Oregon.
Right.
All of a sudden, I'm back in elementary school, and my brain exploded with like, wait, what? I don't understand that. And then I went through the rest of my career in Canby. And so like, and like I said before, I've lived in every single apartment complex this town has to offer, or had to offer. There's so many more now. But like, yeah, it's like not knowing where you're going to be is really weird.
Yeah.
But also it creates really interesting personality traits. Like now I'm really good sitting here in this space. Like I'm not always the best out in the world. Like Tyler Frankie's great. He can talk to anybody, and I'm happy to chat with people, but I'll stick on the sidelines, until I'm invited. But you get me in here and it's like let's chat all day, and I'm happy boy. So.
Well, it's interesting what personality traits bubble to the surface when you are someone that moved, whether it's in town, to leave for a little bit and come back. Like I said, my family, we were typically put into private school, but if you moved to a new area, you couldn't get right into the private school. So we would be put into a public school, then move to the private school the next school year, which is how I racked up so many different schools in my years. And I think that one of the things that really, like, it's clear is that just as much as I can be quiet, I can be engaging.
Sure.
I can meet people where they're at. And sometimes I think that that's a good thing. But even Tyler and I were talking earlier this week, might have just been yesterday, where I said that one thing, and I know now as an adult that I do this, where I will meet people, and it doesn't happen with everyone, but I never know when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen. But I'll meet someone and I'll think, wow, they remind me so much of fill in the blank. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be someone I don't care for. And I'll be engaging with someone, whether it's in my personal life or professional life, and just being with them, their presence, I'm like, this, I recognize something, but I think that it's actually me looking to recognize something in that person.
Yeah.
And I think typically
to
it's a
build
comfort.
that kind of familiar bond with them so that you can engage with them easier. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I've never, I don't know if I've ever experienced that, but I think that's really interesting.
I didn't know that I did it until I was probably in my early 20s. And I remember all of a sudden one time talking to somebody and saying, you remind me so much of so-and-so.
Yeah.
And the person said, well, why or how? Tell me more. And then I couldn't really put my finger on it. And it was something obscure. And I thought, that's kind of strange. And I was almost a little embarrassed. And then I realize that the reason it happens is because I am seeking to make the connection with someone new. And while it doesn't happen, more often than not, it doesn't happen. But when it does, I always have to stop myself and say, like, is this happening because I see something, or is it happening because, if it's someone that you haven't had a good relationship with and then you're seeing that in someone else, is there something there to, the alarm bell going off that's saying, be a little wary of this person. Sometimes it's the protection, but I think for the most part, it's the way that my brain processes to make connection points with people.
Yeah. Dude, I'm so excited. When this remodeling project is over, our studio is going to have a full arcade and hot tub. We can play Bubble Bobble with our hot tub bubbles on full blast. Just got to finish downloading these blueprints and we'll be good to go.
Oh, yeah, man. It's going to be off the Hey, wait a minute. The plans haven't even downloaded yet? How much time is left?
Not much. It looks like just about 14 hours.
14 hours? Dude, we're not building a skyscraper. It's just a one-room remodel. We have to have those plans today or we won't make our deadline.
This would not be a problem if somebody hadn't made us hit our data cap for the month by binge-watching the first 4 seasons of Drop Dead Diva last week. We have super slow download speeds anyway, and that just slowed us down even more because some providers reduce user speeds for going over their data limit.
Well, excuse me for being captivated by Brooke Elliott's perfect balance of heart and humor. I'm only human.
Man, let's just switch to Direct Link already. Then we would have unlimited data with upload speeds up to 10 times faster than our current provider. So we can download our plans in a snap and you can keep binge watching all your guilty pleasures.
Okay, I give. Please call Direct Link and get us set up. I need that hot tub and I do still have 2 seasons of Drop Dead Diva to watch.
For uploads and downloads at the speed of work, visit www.directlink.coop/internet or give them a call at 503-266-8111. Yeah, I know, like, I've had moments where, like, this happened just the other day. I went to the Oregon City Saturday market, and I'm walking around with my, 18-month-old son, and he's being a baby, as they do. And another guy who has his 18-year-old daughter, or 18-month-old daughter, is walking around, and she's being a baby, and we kind of lock eyes, and there's this moment of, like, we get it, right?
I see you.
And
I get it.
he straight up came over and we started chatting. We talked for like 2 hours. Never met the guy before. We just talked for 2 hours about being a dad, and all this stuff. And like, we're always looking, I feel like, for a connection to be made. And when you can make it, it's great. It's grand.
It is. It's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's why you do what you do here. It's why 100%. We do what we do with the city and with our local businesses. And, frankly, it's what brought us literally to this table today.
Much like Frodo and Sam in Lord of the Rings.
I wish I understood that.
Precious.
So we got a full resume now from Jamie.
I know. I told you I was going to answer when I was in the third grade.
And I was.
You thought I was just making a joke.
It's totally fine. Tyler, you were working with the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, and then you transitioned to work with Jamie here. Tell me what that was like. What happened? How did that go down? Do you wake up one day and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to work here anymore.
No, I mean, I really enjoyed my time at the fairgrounds. It was, really fulfilling, and it was a unique position in the fact that, like, there's so much things that happen year round at the fairgrounds that people, generally, I could say this for myself before working at the fairgrounds. When you say the fairgrounds, you think of just the Canby Rodeo.
Just the fair.
The fair, and that's all that happens. But there's Renaissance Fair, and there's
there is
Spring Garden Fair, and
yep.
There's tons of different things that happen, and it's really cool to see all those events take place throughout the year. And one of the things that really I had a passion for was working closer with the Canby businesses. And while I got that opportunity some of the time with in my position at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds, it wasn't on a day-to-day basis, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And so when this position came available, I really thought that would be something that I would fulfill what I was seeking, is, working with the Canby businesses and building those relationships more locally.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it did. So
nice.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I don't know if you were at the fairgrounds when they did this, but there was the drive-in scare thing that they did a few years ago.
Yeah.
And we produced like a 2-hour long podcast thing that we put through the radio, and you could listen to it while you're waiting in line.
Yes.
Genuinely, I'm not joking. That was my favorite thing I've ever done in this studio.
Why?
Because
I don't mean that it shouldn't be. I just mean I need more information.
So I was excited about it because you got introduced to lo-fi today when you came into the studio. I got to basically put together a playlist of spooky lo-fi, because it exists.
Yeah.
Just type in lo-fi in whatever thing you want, and I guarantee it exists. So spooky lo-fi, threw that together. We put together, classic Halloween songs. And then Frankie and I did, we did some trivia. We did people could listen to it and try and guess questions. We did a couple little skits. My little brother and I, our editor, he and I are always doing audio skits for stuff. So this was another thing that we could do. We read stories on it. And I was just like, this to me, if I was a kid and I heard this, would set the precedent for what Halloween should be. Sitting in a car with the family, getting ready to go into the scare fair, whatever it was called, and listening to this fun show on the radio. And that's what ended up happening. Me and Frankie, we got our wives, we packed up his kids because we didn't have one at the time. We grabbed some popcorn and we hung out in the car for it was like an hour-long wait in line, but it was fun. It was enjoyable.
It was fun.
That's awesome.
And then you go into the scare thing, and I got my pants scared off me, man. It was terrifying.
I don't really like to be scared at all. And I did go to the scare fair. Was it only 1 year?
I think it only was 1 year, yeah.
But at least, I guess, the first year. So the first and last.
Well, the drive-through aspect, at least.
The drive-through one is the one I'm talking about. And I remember that and how cool it was. And, I was in a car with kids, and teenagers, which is even a different level of Halloween fun.
Yeah, you got to be cool about it.
Exactly. I mean, not me. I'm not cool when it comes to scary things whatsoever. I get scared if someone says my name and I'm not paying attention. So it doesn't take much, but it was awesome. And I remember what you're talking about with the podcast, and one of my favorite memories. So I've known Tyler since he started at the Canby Herald. We've been working together in all of his different aspects until now, where we work together on a day-to-day basis, which is, we have a great time, and I think we both feel pretty lucky about that. But I remember literally getting up to the gate and looking up, and really far away past some cars is Tyler, and just screaming at the top of my lungs. And he was like, "Hey, you guys made it." And he was so excited. And it's just fun when you get to see someone in their element doing what they do best. And then now from those kinds of things, or we were just reminiscing about when we met when he was with the Canby Herald all those years ago.
Yeah. How long ago was that?
7-ish years-ish.
Okay.
7, 8, something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
So you were definitely a part of the scare fair. Was that a thing that you put on, or?
Yeah, it was definitely something that we put on, and it was kind of unique because it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And so nobody was doing anything, and so we were able to reach out to 4 different haunted houses.
Yeah.
And actually, it started with one, and we're like, "Do you guys have stuff to fill up the whole fairgrounds? Let's make this happen." And they came out to the fairgrounds, and they were like, "No, we can't deal with all of our stuff. We need 3 other people to join us." And so they knew people, and nobody was doing anything, and so it was really cool that they brought in a total of 4 different haunted house from the area.
I genuinely think that was one of the best ideas that got put together during the pandemic. There's a lot of businesses that had to adjust, right? We talked about it with the Book Nook last week. But a haunted house literally is a line of people all gathered together out in the cold, and then you go through a tiny little passageway and get screamed at,
and people might touch you,
and they're sweaty, and it's like literally like the worst idea for a pandemic. And you guys went
like a random Saturday. It's also the worst idea.
Sounds great for a random Saturday for me. But you guys took that and you were like, you know what, we can rise to the challenge. I think that's admirable. I genuinely do. Like, even outside of the fact that I love Halloween more than anything, I think that was a really cool move.
Yeah.
So.
I think that everybody, working at the fairgrounds was really like trying to adapt and make the best of the situation. And I think that was one of these to do it, and also like it was cool because they're like learning from the professionals of putting on haunted houses. You learned a little bit more, and then like there was crazy stuff of like, I think there was another organization that like actually had like the haunters like tackling the cars and like actually touching the windows, and we were like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that. But like it
was scary enough when some shadow like just runs, bolts at your car. I still remember it. It was, look, I love haunted houses, and I don't scream, I don't yell. I'm just like, this is great. Ha! Yeah, you got me. That's great. But there was one moment we came around a corner, and there's an actual shadow that like came up out of nowhere and bolted for the car, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is a winner. You got me.
And then I mean, that was the cool thing about COVID was like there was a lot of unfortunate things that came with COVID, but one of the great things was the creativity that was allowed because nobody's ever done something like this, and like you learn and you're just doing it because trying to be creative, which was one of the coolest things about COVID.
Yeah. So you guys overcame COVID. You guys, you moved over to a new. What is the exact department?
We're the Economic Development and Tourism Department.
Okay, I don't know if I actually heard that. If you guys said it, but
I don't think so. I think I left that off my CV when I went through it.
The audio CV.
The audio CV.
Yeah. So the Department of Economic and Tourism. Mm-hmm. Economic Development and Tourism.
Yeah, and which is typically just part of the Economic Development Department.
Gotcha. So what do you guys do now on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like for you guys working together, making a town run?
Yeah, well, I was going to say I'll kick it off and then I can kick it over to you or if you want to jump in. But I think one of the things that makes the job so interesting is that a day-to-day it's not the same. It changes. And for us, it's seasonal, right? So we have two large events over the summer. Obviously, the 4th of July, Canby Independence Day celebration downtown, and then the big night out street dance. So during that time, it's a big focus on events. We do grants, we do outreach, marketing. So everything changes on a day-to-day basis. And I think the thing that having a very small department, we have to figure out always how we can make the most with what we have. We don't have large budgets to be able to utilize to do large programming or large scale events. So we have to be creative. We work with lots of other departments to make that happen. We work with lots of other outside organizations and businesses. But on a day-to-day basis, it could be anything from talking about historic preservation grants to how we, work on our first Thursday night market and get more engagement and more attendance to, we had this idea or I saw this interesting thing and I want to see how we can make it happen here in Canby. And the coolest thing is that the community, whether that's businesses or organizations or even our other departments, they help to support that in ways that they don't even realize. So our public works director, I'll pick on my buddy Jerry, our public works director just came, he reached out to me on a Saturday and said, I'm in Silverton, they're doing this shindig, is what they call sidewalk shindig. And, there's something really interesting happening here. And I started asking questions. and he didn't really have much to say other than there was a lot of people, a lot of music. You could get out, move from business to business, which, actually to me sounds a lot like our first Thursday night market.
Yeah.
But clearly they're capturing something that's making him feel like it's something worth attending and paying attention to and replicating. And so we sat down with him to start asking questions of what made it so interesting.
Yeah.
So there was live music. No, it wasn't live music like one stage, Jamie. It's 5 stages in different bars and different, and we started to kind of get those details. And while that might not be something that we do exactly here, and certainly we wouldn't probably call it the sidewalk shindig, just because we won't want to take from
directly.
exactly. Yeah. But the way that small downtowns and Main Street organizations or tourism, all you ever hear when you're at conferences or trainings or getting to sit down and get to meet who's doing things in Gladstone, for example, is beg, borrow, steal. You can't be everything.
Right.
You've got to take what was done here with this idea and make it work for your town. So,
and many of them are most 99% of them are willing to share how they did that.
Absolutely.
Here's the full on plan and layout of how we did it.
Yeah, because
replicate it for your town.
They're excited that they've been able to figure out some success there, some victories, and plus it's not like towns are competing against each other necessarily.
No.
We're all trying to build and be for our citizens. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. And like I said, we've known each other for a long time. So even though we've only worked together now for a year and a half, we have that experience of working together in a variety of capacities and always getting along pretty well. And now we're a small department. It's just the two of us.
I was about to ask, is it just the two of you?
It's the two of us.
Okay.
And we work as part of development services, which is with our planning department, which is codes and land use and rules. And I always say to them, I want to know the rules so that I can see how we can get past them and make some cool things happen. And but it's just the two of us. So we're a pretty tight team, and that's why when you offered to host, it was like, well, can we both come? We want to.
Absolutely.
We both want to share.
Yeah.
So we're thrilled to do so.
No, you were at the top of my list just because I've
Say that
seen,
again.
You were at the top of my list. There were 5 people I reached out to, and you were one of them. And just because I have seen you doing a lot of work over the last 11 years, and being in Canby, and with us focused on what's happening in Canby, it's impossible not to see what you've been doing. And so, I've always been excited, and I always find it a good excuse to bring people in and get to know them better, because when you're out and about, especially when you're at an event that you're hosting and you're doing things, you're kind of, let's chat, but also I've got to keep my head on the swivel and make sure nothing's going
Absolutely.
wrong. So I was very excited that you wanted to come in, and I knew that you had moved over to the economic development and tourism department, but I didn't know what that meant, to be honest, and so I wanted to catch up with
so
you,
I wasn't
Tyler.
at the top of your list.
You were like at the top of the next list.
That's okay. That's fine.
I have several lists that go on.
It's because you knew that I didn't watch the
Lord of the Rings.
I was going to wait till you watched Lord of the Rings, and then we were going to have you on. When you watch Lord of the Rings, call me, and we'll do another episode.
There you go.
Okay.
That we could do that. We could watch Lord of the Rings, and then
now
you
I'm
could
gonna actually have to watch
it. I know. I don't know why I'm trying to sign us up for this.
I like how you're not saying no, but it's very clear that you're like, this probably isn't going to happen.
It might. I'll let you know.
Why haven't you watched Lord of the Rings?
I feel like it's super long.
It's 9 hours. 3 movies,
That's
9
a long
hours
time.
long.
I don't know, right? I mean,
and you don't watch them all at once.
Okay.
Don't watch them all at once.
Just go to sleep with it.
Yeah, we'll just take an afternoon.
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday, whatever, and watch the first one, and then let it sit, let it resonate. I mean, most of us got a year or two between them when we first watched them, right? Because I was 12 when the first one came out, and so I was going into theater, see it. This is amazing, and then I would wait and then I'd go see it
Did
again.
you read all the books too?
No, I'm terrible. I'm really bad at that. I watched the
No
movies
judgment.
1,000 times.
No.
All the movies 1,000 times, and then I listened to the audiobook of the first two. And then I started a podcast where I talk about books, and I got distracted by literally thousands of other books. So I haven't finished reading the actual Lord of the Rings books. Yeah.
Well,
So
Tyler,
you finish
maybe
the books,
you say
I
you'll
do
watch
the
it.
movies.
See, you can tell we spend a little bit too much time together. We both went to managing expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tyler, did you know that the Australian lyrebird can mimic any sound that it hears, even chainsaws?
No, that's super interesting.
Did you know that a baby puffin is called a puffling? Or that baby sea otters can't swim, so their moms wrap them up in pieces of kelp until they learn how to paddle?
Wait, do you know any trivia that isn't like animal related?
Not really, but here's some stuff you may not know about the Wild Hare Saloon, where Canby goes to eat and have fun.
Okay.
The Wild Hare is one of Canby's longest-running locally owned restaurants. Owners Joan and Darren Moden have been in business for 16 years.
That's cool.
Heck, you were just a baby back then.
Wait, what?
And they love to give back. They've been members of the Canby Chamber for that long, and they donate over $20,000 to local sports, FFA programs, and civic organizations each year.
Wow, I'm legitimately caught off. That's cool.
Yeah, they also support more than 30 jobs in the community through their award-winning staff, some of them as young as 18. Hey, that's older than you are.
Dude, I'm 10 months younger than you.
With the days getting longer and the weather getting warmer, the Canby Wild Hare's expansive outdoor patio is the place to be. Furry friends welcome.
Well, that sounds great. I'm going to go check them out just off of Highway 99E next to the Space Age in Canby at 1656 Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City, or on their website at thewildharesaloon.net. So as far as you guys have been, I mean, you guys had a pretty busy summer, right? Because you had these big events going on. And this is maybe not the first summer back from the pandemic, but it certainly felt bigger. It felt like there was a little bit more weight to it. There was a lot going on. So what was that like for you guys?
Having the events back since COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was amazing. And really the outpouring of the community to support the events. I mean, I came as a spectator before, because I wasn't with economic development with the City of Canby during the time before COVID, but I could just tell, like, seeing them on afterwards, it was amazing. The outpouring of people showing up and wanting to, be part of the events that were put on. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And the thankfulness of like, oh, thank you guys for, continuing to put this on. And I think people were thankful for, events across the board. I mean, I know from, fairgrounds and stuff like that during that time, people were thankful for everything that you put on. So yeah.
Well, and looking at our two summertime events, I mean, they have both grown year after year. So Independence Day used to be General Canby Days. The city took that on in 2016 was our first year. We also have the street dance, which we kicked off in 2015. And those events, both of them have grown year after year, which is exciting and super fun to be part of.
Right.
But then, you stop that momentum with COVID. And in 2021, the city opted not to host the Independence Day because of the rules and regulations that were still in place about COVID, but felt that the Big Night Out street dance would be something that we'd be able to take on. And we made that decision at the middle of July, and the street dance is at the end of August. So we had about 5 weeks from when we heard go to when the event was going to happen. And I just remember saying to the city administrator, I think we can make it happen, but we need a very clear, we need clear direction. And he said, let's go. The mandates had changed enough, and we just went to work. And the greatest thing is when you have an event and you're there and you've worked all day and all of the lead up to the event, and for the 4th of July we show up at 5 a.m. For the street dance we show up at 7 a.m. and the first time you see someone who's not a volunteer, not city staff, not a friend or family member, but a true attendee of the event that's just there because all of the pieces came together, and you go, all right, it worked. Like someone showed up, and let's hope more people show up than just that one. But it's been incredible to see the events, and they're so fun. And I think you're right. Like, people are really happy to be back and at it and having fun and dancing in the streets.
Yeah. You once described yourself to me as the Leslie Nope of
100%.
Canby. So I can only imagine 5 weeks to plan one of your biggest events of the year was just a fun challenge for you.
It was a fun challenge.
I imagine a binder came out. Multicolored.
Well, I'm embarrassed now. It's a multicolored spreadsheet, and it outlines exactly how that event was supposed to go. And I will say this, that so Tyler's role, Tyler is the economic development and tourism coordinator, and I'm the economic development director. And as he said, he wasn't with the city when we came back from COVID, but it wasn't necessarily my direct role to be hosting that event, but that's where we found ourselves. And so I pulled out the trusty spreadsheet that outlines all of the different aspects that go into it. And, you start to make the phone calls where you're calling the people who, obviously the businesses, like, we're doing this. Are you in? But we all built this together. It's grown slowly over time, but the concept came together in we started talking about it probably in 2014. And Ken Arigati, who owns the Backstop, was like, there's something happening in West Lynn, and they do a street dance, and it's really successful, and let's see if we could do something like that. And through his direction and efforts, he started bringing people together. So Mallory Gwynn was at the Chamber of Commerce as the director at the time. Yeah. I was the Main Street manager. The mayor was there. We hosted our meetings in the back of Ebner's Custom Meats. Yeah. And we packed together and started to determine what we all brought to the table that was unique. And obviously through that time, it was like, well, the city is going to be in the position to take on the lead of organizing. And so I had several years under my belt before turning that event over. And then when we got it back, especially after COVID, it's like, you just call your friends up. Okay, Ken, we're going to do the street dance. Are you ready? I'll call the stage and sound guy. And so people really showed up, not just at the event, but to make it happen. And, it's an event that I got to help create. So there's not really an aspect of it that I don't understand. Sure. But yeah,
you've been doing it long enough.
I Leslie Noped that thing. And I remember feeling nervous all the way up to the point, because you think, are people even ready to come out? Yeah. And they came out in droves, and it was awesome. And I retain my Leslie Nope hat for the rest of my days. And if I am Leslie Nope, then our public works director is Ron Swanson.
Nice.
And if anybody's ever had the
pleasure
of getting to meet him and pleasure of knowing Parks and Rec, you would know that is not a stretch.
So Tyler, 2 questions. The first is, what was it like to be brought into that? Like, when she pulls that spreadsheet out, is that intimidating, or is that something where you're like, nah, I'm ready for this?
No, I like it. I'm big on organization and seeing all that, and it was really easy. It made it really easy to come in and do that work, because it was all lined up and ready to go, and bullet pointed and color coordinated, and it was all good.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. So what did you enjoy about coming into that project, where it's, because was this your first time when that happened?
No, 2021, and then Tyler joined us in 2022.
Right. Okay. So then this year, a little bit more chill, a little bit more calm. I'm assuming not like tomorrow it's happening.
Correct.
A little bit more time.
So what was it like to come in on that project then? As things are kind of unfolding, this is your first year.
I mean, very smoothly. I mean, like I said, everything was lined up and ready to go. And I had experience with events in the past. So, my experience with the fairgrounds and all the events that were held and put on, that helped me in this role as well. And while I do have a passion for the community aspect of things, I really love the event side of things and putting those on and being part of that. So yeah, that was awesome.
He makes it look easy.
Yeah.
He's the steady hand, and especially with events where, so 2022 was his first year, so now we've had another summer, so he's been able to do 4th of July and street dance by, ultimately by yourself with support, and it's cool to see the ways that he's been able to make it his own, and just his approach to bringing people together. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. What would you say is one of the biggest challenges of coming on and kind of taking that over?
I can't think of anything on the top of my head, which is like
he's praying that you move on to the next question so he doesn't have to.
Can you have Jamie leave the room?
Yeah.
The follow-up question was very much, who do you think you are in Parks and Recreation? But I'm assuming, have you seen it? Have you seen Parks and Recreation?
I've seen parts of it, but I'm really bad with names, so I don't know. Like, I don't know who I would...
So, Jamie, who is he?
I would have to think on that.
Yeah.
He's...
For all our listeners who haven't seen Parks and Rec, it's all right. It's a good show. It's a really good show.
It's a very good show.
Yeah. Well, I know we're kind of coming up to the end here. So I guess I do want to ask, like, you guys have your fingers on the heartbeat, the pulse of Canby. You kind of know what's going on. What are the big things that you're excited about? Or even, like, next week's Halloween.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. What are you guys excited about in Canby?
I'm excited about a lot of things happening here close, and it actually allows the opportunity to do a little plug for all the things that we got going on.
Heck yes, it does.
Like you said, Halloween, thousands of kids, families come downtown. Most all the businesses are open and, passing out candy. It's a great opportunity to, see what the downtown has to offer. There's, a plethora of businesses and in, a lot of different categories and selling lots of different products and services. And it's just a great opportunity to see what they have to offer. And again, that community aspect of, meeting another person and maybe even seeing people that you've known for a long time. It's a really cool and awesome event that I really enjoy being part of. And then starting in November, we'll have the first Thursday night markets. Mm-hmm. That's a consistent thing that we have going on every month. And so that'll be November 2nd this year. From 5 to 8 p.m. and it's just another opportunity to see what businesses we have to offer and at a different time. So usually, you wouldn't be able to go off of work and experience some of the businesses. I mean, there are some businesses that stay open later, but all the businesses participating stay open until 8. And it's just a great, again, community event to see what Canby has to offer. And then for our second year, we're going to do the Shop Local Canby campaign. And so aligning with Small Business Saturday on November 25th, we'll be offering a punch card with 10 punches on it. And to get one punch, you got to spend $10 at a participating business. And then once you fill that up, you can enter in for a $50 gift card or whatever businesses have donated for that campaign. So it was awesome last year. I think we had over 3,000 cards with at least a punch or something. So lots of activity, and we're looking to just continue that on and further that campaign and help our local businesses through this holiday season.
Heck yeah.
And that'll go through December and then end on January's first Thursday night market.
Gotcha.
And then one of my all-time favorites is Light Up the Night, which is December 1st, the first Friday of December. And Santa Claus will be coming to Canby. So bring the kids down. They'll start with a lighted parade at 6 o'clock. And that'll go through downtown and then end in Waite Park, where Santa Claus will join us up on the gazebo. And
I was talking to Kayla about this a couple weeks ago. How we love the light up the night that they do the parade, and that there's like the truck that goes through and stuff. Halloween also needs that. Like we were talking, because when I was a kid we used to do haunted house in our garage. And how there's a ton of people that just build their own little haunted houses in their garage and garages and stuff. And like we need to put something together for Halloween where it's like a tour, the haunted tour of Canby or something. I feel like that would be dope.
That would be really cool.
So, hit me up whenever you guys are ready for that next year.
So yeah, that and then that pretty much after that will be another First Thursday in December, and then we'll be into the next year with more events. And yeah, so I'm really excited for this next this fourth quarter
seems like
of
it
events.
Gets busy for you guys.
It's another busy season, which is really fun and exciting.
It's all busy. I always say, oh, well, when we're done with this,
know, right?
we'll have time. And then we'll be done with this and we'll have time. And then finally I just said, we got to stop saying that because there's always something.
Yeah.
And, obviously we are in the business of supporting our businesses. So when we have Halloween, yes, it's to get candy into the community and the kids and having that, but having them walk into the businesses and having parents say, oh, I didn't know that this business was there. Or, oh, that's what they sell. That kind of thing. That happens year round. First Thursdays happen year round. But so it's such a fun time, I think, especially because while the world slows down a little bit and we're still busy, it's about really supporting our local businesses. And, COVID was not kind to small businesses.
Not at all.
Or big businesses, but some of them it was, I guess. So being able to slow down and get people back in the doors, even if it's not a cash register ringing, it's just the familiarity of where people are located and who is downtown and what they sell, so that then when a parent or a guardian or an adult needs something or has some extra time and money, they come downtown. That's kind of what now is about. And then you have Small Business Saturday, which people know about. That's great. The Shop Local Canby is something we did last year to build off of that and to help highlight our businesses. And so it really starts to focus on in a special way, because Canby is so special around the holidays, of just remembering and taking a moment to shop locally, to be with our businesses. And they need it. They'd be the first ones to tell you. But I think most of our businesses are too kind to want to shout that. But we, if you can shop small and you can shop local, please do so. It matters. Even if it's a $5 item, it matters.
Yeah.
So it's a really special time, and the holidays in Canby it's just special. Our parks and public works teams do a great job of decorating downtown, and
they do.
It's really, really fun. One of the things also, and I just would be remiss if we finished without saying this, but the city is undergoing a comprehensive plan update, which planning, can seem like, well, where does my voice fit in with that? And one of the things that I've been doing with working our planning department is identifying the ways that we can engage with our residents, with our business owners, with our community members, and hear their voices. So, for instance, November 14th, we're having a community summit. It's going to be held at the Canby Police Community Room. And that's open to the public at 6 p.m. But there's lots of opportunities to get involved or to learn more, to hear how things are progressing, and to make sure your voice is heard. And so if anybody that listens to this or yourself is interested in attending the community summit, please do so. And if someone's looking for more information, they can reach out to myself, to Tyler, or to anybody in our planning department. We'd be more than happy to talk about it. And part of this is a requirement through the state. You're supposed to identify 20-year land supply for residents and for commercial properties. Employment lands is what they call it. But also, the last one that we did was done in 1984. So we're actually a little bit behind the times.
Yeah.
But the growth that we've seen and the transition we've seen in Canby with our industrial park, with our downtown, you said it. There's more apartments in Canby today than there was before. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of those came in probably in the last 5 to 10 years. So that development, taking a look at what we have, how we are growing, and the smart ways to continue to grow over time, that's what's going to keep Canby special and keep our small town atmosphere at the forefront of everything that we do. And that's why we do the job that we do, is because Canby is special. This isn't just some town or a job or an event, but it's Canby, and it's economic development, and it's light up the night. It's all the things that matter because it's truly unique and special. And we're really lucky to do it.
Absolutely. Tyler, anything else?
Summed it up perfectly.
Well, we'll make sure we get all of any links or any of that information from you guys, so we can put it down below in the description of the episode, wherever you guys are listening to it. Jamie, Tyler, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me in the studio. Listener, if you want to reach out to them, we'll have all of that information down below. Make sure you check out all of the events that are happening right now and until the end of the year, and then in the new year, I'm sure there will be some more stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to reach out to me, and if you're interested in being in the studio and chatting about Canby and all the fun stuff that's going on around town, please feel free to email me at clausen@canbyfirst.com. And with that, I'm going to say thank you. Stay safe, stay warm, because it's starting to get cold out there, and make sure you enjoy spooky season, because it's here. It's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to get real spooky out there.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, I'm AJ. I'm your local Oddmos franchise owner.
I'm Mike, co-founder of Oddmos.
And we're the hosts of The Odd Pod, a podcast about
life in the pizza industry. We're going to have on some franchisees. We're going to have some different vendors on. We're going to get a snapshot of what goes on behind the scenes in the pizza world.
Don't forget to tell them about the sports.
There's sports.
And the crazy wacky pizza that we have every Wednesday that we create. And we also have a special guest every week as well.
And I'm Gage, OddPod Senior Sports Analyst.
Gage, who gave you that title?
Me.
Oh boy. Find us on Spotify and Apple Music and the Podbean.
Now Hear This Canby is produced by me, Tyler Clausen. Our content director and star reporter is Tyler Frankie. And of course, our show is edited by Cameron Clausen. We also feature the vocal talents of Joyce Struby and James Walden, so a round of applause to them. The song that you're hearing right now is Canby by singer-songwriter Olivia Harms, used with her permission. To find more work from her, you can visit her website, olivia13.com.
Now Hear This Canby is dedicated to preserving independent local journalism and redefining local news with our fun, fresh, and energetic brand of storytelling. Our sincere thanks to our local sponsors who make this show possible. Please show your appreciation by supporting the small businesses who support us.
The production of Now Hear This Studios, Canby's locally owned, full-service audio, video, and media production company. Our mission is to produce the best content in the universe, and we'd love to help you do it. Find us online at nhtstudios.com.
I will take a motion to adjourn.
I just moved it.
I didn't even ask for it, though.